Everybody, Lisa over at I Repair Devices, and today on my workbench I am working on a Bose 5-disc CD changer. Now this unit did come in with various issues. I did get one of them resolved, and that was, let's see here where we at. On the front here, all right, this is the front unit here that you don't see. It's in the housing, but this is where the 5 discs are fed into. Well, off to the side here, it's driven by 7 gears, and one tiny gear that is underneath this clip here was missing one of its teeth. So it broke off, so I replaced it. But unfortunately, the customer at the time didn't realize what the problem was, and they just kept forcing CDs in there. And what it did was it just created a havoc down the road here. Now, I already have this pretty much taken apart, but over here, again, on the bottom, it's driven by more gears and more gears and more gears. Well, the issue now lies in over here. So on top of these 2 micro switches, which are the fault, sits a gear, and it ties into another gear that sits here, and this drives the mechanism up and down. Well, it shorted out these 2 micro switches here, so I have to swipe them out. How did I know the fault? I did continuity test on it, and it was showing, well, first of all, I did a voltage test on when the unit was on, and I know it at on this particular circuit, the switch is always in a starting in a normally open position, so there should be 0 voltage to it. When these are in the when they're in the open position, I was getting about 3 volts. So I knew at that point the switches were shorted out. I did a continuity test, and that definitely guide me to where I'm going to switch them out. Now, replacing these switches are not simple because, one, these are called surface mounted SMD, meaning that they sit on the top here. These are tiny components here. So you have to be very careful not to overheat the board, because you actually could damage any of the traces that are running through the board and underneath the board and anything that's surrounding it. So you got to be very careful what you're doing. And also, when you're replacing these switches, you have to make sure you're replacing them with the same switch, because unfortunately switches come in different shapes and sizes. And in this instance, the actual armature of these switches actually start in an upward position. You can see right here where my nail is pointing to. Let me see if I can get something better. Tweeters. I'll show you on a good switch. This is a good switch here. The armature is actually starting in a bent position. So this is normally open. And as this gear rotates on the top, all right, on top of the switch here, the bottom part here floats over the top of the switches. So as it rotates, it presses down the lever, turns it on. I'll hold it in my hand. So when the top gear rotates over it, the arm is going to go down, and then it's going to rotate back, and it's going to open up. So so you got to be careful, because normally switches start in a down position, and then you either open them to close them, you know. But this one actually starts in an up position, normally open, and then when the gear goes over, it's going to lower it and then turn it on, and then when it comes back, it's going to go open right back up. And also, too, you have to order these in their starting position, because you can have a normally open switch or a normally closed switch. So this one is normally open, meaning that it's off. And so when I apply voltage to it, it's going to close it and then turn it on. Well, you can have switches in the opposite way, starting position where it's normally closed, meaning that it's in the on position, and then when the circuit is activated, it'll actually open it to stop it. So you have to be very cautious on when you're ordering these switches. So I'm going to go ahead and turn my light on and angle my camera down so you can see what I'm going to be doing. So right here is my fume extractor. I have that guy turned on. And then also I'm going to be using, for this application, I'm going to be using a hot air station to remove these components, which is this guy right here. So I'm going to get that warmed up. I'm going to turn on my overhead light, so if there's some glare, I do apologize, but I need to see. And I do have my area taped off with some heat protected tape. This is Captain tape. So what I'm going to do is apply some heat from a distance and then narrow my way in because I don't want to shock the board. So I'm going to heat it up from above and then start lowering it. Once I see that the solder is molten, then I can go ahead and lift the switches off. So just letting that heat up. And as you can see, when I do a test here, doing a continuity test, you can hear the beep. And that shouldn't be, and it's in the open position. So all right. So I'm going to go ahead and apply the heat from above. I'm just going to let it hover over the top there for a little bit. Turn it up a bit. You don't want to apply, I don't have my, the volume coming out high. I have it set like a medium low. You don't want to have the air come rushing out, because then you can actually heat up a larger area, and actually you run the risk of blowing off other surrounding components. So basically just narrowing it down to just this small area here. So, and the fume extractors help suck in all that nastiness. We don't want to have it in our lungs or anything. So switch hands here because I am a lefty. I gotta pull it off with the tweezers. So, nope. I'll know when it's good to move when I can push on it and I feel like a little resistance. Then I know it's ready to be pulled off. Not yet. When these circuit boards come off of the assembly line, they use non-leaded solder, and that takes a much higher heat to get the solder in a more molten state. So it's going to take a lot of heat here. All right, so we got one off, and the second one's off. All right. I'm going to go ahead and clean up the area. With some alcohol. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the existing solder on there. Normally I would remove it, but since it's such a small amount, I'm going to go ahead and leave it on there. But I'm going to add some flux, and this is going to help get the solder to flow a little bit easier when it gets that molten state, and then adhere to the pads of the switch. So I just need to find my stuff here. So stuff like that, so you try to use up as every ounce that's left in these tubes here. So I'm going to get these bad switches out of the way. All right, and on the board, again with these switches, there's two little small holes in the bottom of the switches that are lining up to the, I should say two little tabs. There's two tiny little tabs on the bottom of these switches that are lining up with the two holes on the board. So I'm trying to line it up. So when they get hot, then they're going to seal themselves into the hole, and then the surrounding pads will adhere to the pads on the board. So I'm going to do it together. I don't want to do it separately because, again, we've got plastic parts here, and I'm trying to avoid as little heat, as much. I'm trying to avoid overheating this. So I'm going to do this all in one shot. So we're going to start up from above here. Way. And when I notice that when I notice the solder getting a more molten state, then I'm going to press down on them so they can adhere to the board and then get locked into place. So, just got to be patient. Just constantly keep moving it around. We don't want it to sit in one place because then you run the risk of burning it. So you just want to kind of just rotate it around. Get a feel for it's not ready. You'll know when it's ready to when it gets that molten state because it gets shiny. All right, there it is. Press it down. And then press down this one. Oh, that one's not ready. All right, that one's ready. This one needs a little bit more. All right, just gonna hold it, let it cure. Everything. This one could use a little bit more. Be careful. There we go. All right. Okay. The one on my left was not seated properly. I could see that it was in an up position, so I had to reflow it and then press it down. So just let it cool off a bit here, and then I'm going to clean it up, and then we're going to test it. the fume extractor for a second. All right, let's see. All right. All right, so that's the grounded side. Okay, when I put the latch down, it's beeping, so it's closing. All right, that's what we want. And let's go to the switch on the right side. Switch. All right, it's in the up position. Now it's down. It's on, up, down. Okay. All right, clean this off a little bit better. Get all that flux out of there so it's not sticky. All right, so let's remove the tape here. And remove this tape. All right, so now here is the gear that sits on top of these switches here. It's going to do a quick turn. All right, and let's see here. All right, so this is the good gear. I'm gonna make sure these guys are lined up. And then two, this guy has to line up with the little notch that's being fed from the top of the board. So I gotta do a couple of things here. Drop him in first. All right, let's make sure he is, all right, he's connecting to the top board. Because as soon as I turn him, you'll see that this mechanism is turning. Let's see. This guy, look at this guy right here. So as soon as I turn him, so I know he's locked into that top of the board. So let's put them in the starting position and get the gear on top of the switches in position. And I gotta now put on the little tabs here to lock them in place. Oops. There are little clips here that I'll tell you, they can easily lose them. See, these are the size of the little clips. So, so let me get him locked into place. All right, so now I'm just going to rotate this, and the top is moving as it should. Okay, there you go. All right, so now we're going to get everybody back into place here. Now what I'll most likely do is fast forward this video. I'm still debating because I have to get this reassembled to a point where I can safely turn it on and then test everything out. But right now I'm just going to go ahead and just get these few things put into place here, because we got gears that work with other gears, and so yeah. Like this whole area here has 6 gears right here that work this one certain mechanism. We have 7 gears that work the front, and then we have 2 gears over here that work this mechanism here that raises and lower, and then underneath inside there's 8 gears. So this whole thing is basically driven by gears. All right, I need one more locking clip. A little baggy. Well, I'll just pull one off over here. Okay, another tab or clip. All right, and now this clip has to go back into place. And let's see, just all right. So this whole bottom is reassembled. Under here's the gear, and then the 2 switches are sitting underneath there, and then it's attached to this gear, and it's attached to this one, and this one, and this one, and this one. So this whole area is driven by those 2 switches, and then these 2 gears do this part of the circuit where it raises and lowers, and then we have additional gears. Oh, and this area here I have to put back on where the actual mechanism sits in. So now I have to reattach this guy. Again, you got to be careful because everything needs to be lined up and All right, what are we holding up on? Oh, let's get him in. All right. Okay, now let's get him. I got some clips that need to be pushed over into place. All right. Now I'm going to go ahead and add the screws back in. This one goes on the side here. Oh, crap. I have to refeed a wire here, so I have to take this partially apart and just get this enough to where I can get this wire fed in. Nope, I don't want to bend the chassis, so all the screws are going to come out. So this is the fun part. This is where there's times you're constantly assembling, disassembling. So, all right, there we go. There. Now you got to lock in on the bottom there. So let me get you moved over because you have to lock into place. You are not going to work. All right, there we go. All right, let's put the screws back on. Okay, everything is, well, not everything, but it's starting to come together. So let me move this guy out of the way here. And the gear that was on the bottom there, this is another gear that was broken. I had to replace. So you could see the several of the teeth on the top there. At the 12 o'clock position, actually wore away. So, all let's get the drive itself put into place, or the drive mechanism, which is here. Alright. I have to feed them down and this guy here. All right. Okay. Like I says, I'm only going to put this together so much. Just I just want to see it work, and then once I know it's all working, then I'll go ahead and you know, put it back together correctly. I'm just throwing together, putting back what I need, what I know I need in order to get it to power on. So. Let me get the bottom, let me get the board. 1 second here. Okay, now I'm just mounting the board back into place here and then lock it in with a few of the tabs. Like I said, unfortunately I have to go through all this just to test it, and if it's still not working, I have to disassemble it again. But I need all this in order for it to power on and get me where I need to get. Going to lock a few of these tabs into place here. I don't want the board to fall off while it's in the up, when it's upside down or in its upright position there. All right, this should be enough for me to do what I need to do. All right. So we're gonna go ahead and reconnect some of these cables here. All right, so you just get pushed in there. Yep. You're in. And you're gonna come here and you're gonna get plugged in over. Alright, now I need the lid to power it on, so I need to connect the lid now to the board. And again, you have to pay attention to the orientation of the ribbon cables, so I mark them so I know which way they go in. And two, you'll know when you look at the connector, and then when you look at the headers that they're plugging into, you know the orientation. But it's a good idea. I just do it to get it done faster. Just mark them so I don't have to worry about looking at that stuff. All right, so we've got that. All right, so I'm just gonna set this down. Yep, I need the bottom there. Okay, get a power cord. Let's see, which one is this? Yep, that's what I'll do. Now it's not connected to the main unit that has the speakers and everything, because there's like a taller unit that this goes into. My main concern right now is I just want to power it on to see if it's going to go through its normal initialization. So that is my main concern at this point. Once I know it passed that test, then I'll go ahead and plug it into the main unit. But no sense of getting it all connected if they're not even there yet. All right, turn off the power. All right, everything is here. Okay, we've got the top going. We've got the first one. It's checking the second drive. Now it's doing the third. It's going to check all 5 of them. All right. Oh. All right. So now the mechanism is going to go up and down. And then get in its starting position. And it's going to stop. There we go. Hot damn. But we're not done yet. I'm going to go ahead and turn it off and then plug in the main unit there to see if we actually can play some CD. So let me just turn this guy off because I got to bring in the other beast. So let me just put the lid on here real quick. All right, because the other guy sits on top of here. I'm going to reconfigure the cable. So hold on one second. use the beast. There you go. Yeah, so this guy sits on top of here. So let me go ahead and just get him into position. Now, normally, these units came out white and black, so it doesn't matter which one I'm using here. They're all going to work. So all I'm doing is connecting the bottom to the top here. All right, and then plugging in the audio. All right, so now, again, we're going to have to go through the startup process again. All right, turn it on. And as you can see, you've got the lights flashing here, and it's going through the normal startup. It's just going to say, please wait. I'm going to start it. I'm going to have to swipe this guy out. I just remembered that I don't want to cut it off in the middle of the initialization. Let it stop. When the lights are done flashing, it's done with its process. All right, I have to turn it off because this is not the unit I want to test it on, because I have a missing component from the power supply, which wouldn't hurt during the test process here, but I'd rather not use it. So let me get... Get my other test one in here. I mean, the only thing different from this one and the other one was I took out the because these speakers these top units here have 3 speakers, and down here is the bass, and I took out the audio IC because I had to order it up for a repair, and I took it out of here. Now I could have gone through the test with it not in place, but I didn't want to do that. So here we go again. So it's going to go through the normal startup. Please wait. Move the light out of the way. And this is the gear that I had to replace from the front of the housing there I mentioned earlier. So this is one of them. You could see that one of its teeth is missing. You'll see the black marker, the empty space here. It's missing one of the teeth. So that was replaced. Alright, so let me just get in a test CD. Like it says, we're almost there. I'm not sure if the repair is completely successful, but now the main thing is to test the CD. So we're going to go ahead and turn on the main unit up here. We have radio, so we're good with that. And, alright, so we're going to go ahead and put a disc in. Right. As you can see, it's disc 1. And should start playing. Hot damn! That was a successful repair. Holy crap, there's a lot to this guy. I still have to go through and clean the optical lens, and I do want to clean up the motors, re-lube some of the gears, clean the micro switches, clean the sensors, clean the optical lens. But the main components have been repaired. Just to recap, there was 2 faulty gears, and then also 2 faulty switches. And what's cool about these I was able to make these. I was able to recreate these gears as replacement on my 3D printer and also on my resin printer. Because these, when these gears are used, they're not used in a high area where I have to worry about a lot of force being put on the teeth and everything. So it's pretty cool. I was able to recreate these using Fusion 360. Took a lot of failure to get to it, but you know what? I'm proud of it. And so then also when I got a resin printer, I created this guy in the resin. Both applications, both printers are good to use because on the 3D printer, you're using filaments, and there's different types of filaments. You have PLA, ABS, nylon, and stuff like that. And then resin is just liquid, and then what it does is the UV cures it on each layer. Again, it's interesting on how all these components come together, but these parts are not available, so I can recreate them and get these systems from being thrown out. So that was cool. Like I said, a lot of failures, but hey, you know what? You're gonna have a lot of failures to get to the end result, and you learn a lot. You learn along the way. I mean, I've been using Fusion for now maybe over a year, and I have not even touched into its full capacity. I mean, it's like, and I never used Fusion before, so I actually you're learning as you go along new steps or shortcuts of doing something differently. But I love it. But hot damn, this SOB is back up and running. I'm very proud. So this was a successful repair. Again, I want to do a video just showing you the type of repairs I do and what can be saved. Like I said, this was and as you can see how much I have to strip things down to get to its bare necessity, to get something changed out and then reassembled and tested. And if it still failed, then go, disassemble it again. But you know what, hey, it's part of the job here, and you know what, I love it. So there you have it. This guy is going to be happy. I actually have 4 of his units going back. So yeah, so y'all take care, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.